And then he said to me, our one problem is that we've got almost a fifth of the fish, 20% of the fish is we don't have a market for. It's the fish guts, because this is a controlled fishery. I always feel bad that we're losing some value. I just don't know what to do with fish guts, and no one really wants to buy it. And so then I asked him, well, so what's in your fish guts? And he said, well, what do you mean what's in it? I said, like, what are the molecules in there? He goes, Jeff, you got to be kidding me. I mean, like, I'm a fisherman, not a chemist. And I said, well, I am a chemist. Why don't you send me some of your frozen fish guts and let's see what's in it. And that kind of started the relationship.
What's in the fish guts?
So the truck backed up one day with these 50-pound slabs of fish guts to my lab and freaked out my lab people. It was a little more than we thought. But anyway, we did the analysis, and it turned out we found some extraordinary things in the oils of the particularly the livers, which represent about 17 to 20% of the weight of the cod is livers.
17-20%. The liver.
Huge organ in the cod, because the cod is processing so many things and it's exposed to so many hostile things at the liver, which is both a digestive and a metabolic organ, but it's also an immune organ, so it's working overtime to do its job. So what we found in that liver when we processed the oil was ingredients that had never been seen before in any other cod liver oil. And these bioactives have a name called Pro-Resolving Mediators, or PRMs, Pro-Resolving Mediators. So they are really very powerful immune modulators in terms of the inflammation process, and they help to arrest inflammation. In other words, put the brakes on inflammation and restore proper recovery. And it turns out that they are present in very high levels in certain areas where immune function is very active. Like in white blood cells. White blood cells are our immune defense military, our militia.
Right.
And our white blood cells produce these as part of their process of both regulating immunity and controlling inflammation. They're also found, and this is very interesting, in mother's breast milk. And you might say, well, why in mother's breast milk? Remember, when an infant is born, its immune system is very naive, and it's very vulnerable to all sorts of things that might happen because it doesn't have an adaptive immune system that's been developed yet. It helps to both initiate the infant's immune system and to provide protection against infection. So we now recognize that these are extraordinarily important, like in post-surgical healing, in lung diseases, in various types of infections, and our body is continually producing them if it's working well. Now, the problem is that to make these materials, the body has to have a pretty adept immune system in terms of its function, and it also needs to have the proper starting materials. And the starting materials are not only EPA and DHA, the omega-3 fatty acids, but also some of these other downstream materials that are 18-hydroxy, DHA, and so forth. I won't get into the specifics, but these are the things that we found in our cod liver oil that we had generated through this very unique process in Alaska. And so we started to say, I think we really have discovered something that's never been seen before. So when we started looking at the levels, and this required us to develop new analytical techniques, because this was a whole new branch of chemistry, basically. As we got the analytical methods developed with researchers around the world, Germany and elsewhere, we started to recognize that the levels that were in our cod liver oil were not just kind of like, well, so small it wouldn't make a difference. They were really levels that were found in mother's breast milk. They were the levels that the body would make to respond to immune challenges like inflammation or infection. So now we really started to get excited, because now we say, well, gee, we have an oil that it's tasteless, it's odorless, it has no degradation products, and it has high levels of EPA, DHA, it has the natural vitamin D in its conjugates, the natural vitamin A in its conjugates, and it has these pro-resolving mediators.